Hi guys, welcome back to Lunatic Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Lori Lothian. Today we're talking about how Jupiter meeting with the sun on the 5th of March is going to do a reset for all of us in some area of our life. And we will see the output of that reset around March the 26th onward, when Jupiter then becomes visible as a rising planet. Now, the Jupiter reset here may have to do with things to do with wealth, abundance, and expansion in some area of your life, especially given that Jupiter is under the light of benefit and benefiting from the light of a beneficial star called Ashinar, and is also in his home sign of Pisces while he is being reborn. And so we're going to go into your chart, your sign, based on your rising sign first, and you can listen to your sun and moon sign as well. But certainly most accurate will be your rising sign. If you don't know your rising sign, to go to astro.com or astro-seek and put your data in. You'll need a time of birth to find out what sign is sitting on the eastern horizon when you were born. Now, all that said, I'm going to talk about how this might impact the collective, because there is a little interesting other element. We have a trine to Hygeia and a trine to Volcano, creating a big water trine in the sky connected to this Jupiter reset, as well as an asteroid called Nessus that is about dark and betrayal and secretive and toxic stuff. And for the collective, this is going to be a purging of secrets, of betrayals, of difficulties that we've all been going through. And I'll give you some of the ideas of what I think is going to come out into the open when Jupiter rises around the 26th of March. But for each of us, it won't be that story. There's the big story for the world, and then there's our individual stories. At the individual level, it's much more positive. It's positive anyway, right? But you'll see what I mean. And last thing I want to say is go back to January 29th, 2021, when the last time the Jupiter joined with the sun. And of course, because this is about a yearly event and Jupiter takes 12 years to go around the zodiac, we're always talking about this moving back in terms of zodiacal order. So in January of 21, this occurred in the sign before Pisces, which was Aquarius. And going back a year before that, it occurred in the sign just before the sign of Aquarius, which is Capricorn. So, this is like, you can see this only happens in Pisces, right? Once every 12 years. This is a very special Jupiter reset. So one of the things I want to say, if you go back to that time of Aquarius 9 degrees where Jupiter and Saturn met at the end of January 2021, and you look at what might have unfolded 2 weeks to a couple of months after that, when the visible output of that reset happened, you'll get an idea of how this worked. For example, in my life, this happened in my first house, pretty close to my ascendant, and in the sky at the time, this Jupiter reset, right, in Aquarius at 9 degrees was square Uranus and Taurus and Mars in Taurus. Mars is about moving and Uranus is about change. And if you look at me, Aquarius rising, that fourth house was my real estate, or where I lived, or my home. And what happened in the wake of that reset, within about a month or so, or maybe 5 weeks afterward, I realized I was suddenly shocked to find out that I was going to move and reset my life by moving from one province of Canada to the other. So for some of you, you might be able to go back and see similar stories of a shocking change or new direction that emerged in maybe 2.5 weeks after January 29th to about 2 months after, for the visible results to show up for you. Okay, so that's an idea of how it works. So let's go ahead and talk about the collective. I'm going to show you what this looks like first, just so you get the gist of it. Okay. And I'll talk about the collective, and then I'll go into all signs. So if this is the sky on March the 5th at roughly 5:56 in the morning a.m. Pacific time where I live. I've just left the very basics in here, what we need to see. You can see that Hygeia, the goddess of healing, is trining this reset. She's also hygiene, also medical stuff, right? Like the symbols of medicine. So in a big broad brushstroke for the world, this is probably more pandemic endpoint and healing. And you can't see this asteroid, the software won't draw it, but I didn't set it up to draw it. But basically over here at about 18 degrees of Cancer is Volcano, which can be about some sudden eruption of change or sudden eruption of some kind. I also want to say that Jupiter with the sun, Neptune nearby, the sea god, and the fact that this is squaring the asteroid Isis, which I also didn't draw in here, the goddess who floods the Nile River Valley to create fertility. There's a strong possibility that in the weeks that follow this Jupiter reset may be more visible after, like, let's say the 26th of March, we're going to see a major flood somewhere in the world, like a very significant one. But anyway, I've been noting that's possible for a while with that Jupiter and Neptune combination. Now, in the world, here's what I think may happen when Nessus, okay, let me tell you the story of Nessus. It's a centaur story, right? This centaur was a bad dude, and he raped this girl, this woman. I can't remember her name. It starts with D. And Hercules, the demigod, half man, half mortal hero dude, he basically ended up with this woman. Let's just call her D. And the centaur was really pissed off. So he told this woman, he lied to her, and he said, if you to keep Hercules' love true to you, if ever you feel he is wandering from your love, give him this cloak. Now the cloak had the centaur's blood on it, and the centaur's blood had the power to kill or poison Hercules. So what happened was, and by the way, I believe Hercules slayed the centaur as well. But before the centaur was killed, he got his little 2 cents in with a slippery cloak trick. So years later, this woman thinks that Hercules cheating on her, D, I'll call her D, and she gives the cloak to Hercules, and he puts it on, and he dies poisoned years later by the thing that was told to her was a remedy. Now, yeah, I'm not telling you, okay, that I have a position on the vaccine stuff. However, Pfizer has just released its data under court order. It didn't want to release its trial data for 75 years. And the first wave of data that's come out has a lot of people who are epidemiologically oriented or investigatorially oriented a bit alarmed by the actual, what do you call it, adverse effects that were occurring in the trial data that were not disclosed to maybe the governing bodies that approved the emergency use of the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. That's an example, all right? Or can't remember which country, maybe Sweden, a paper recently came out in which they realized that the RNA technology that is in the vaccines of Moderna and Pfizer can do what's called a reverse transcriptase and become a part of the DNA of liver cells in vitro. Okay. Does that happen in vivo in our bodies? Who knows? But the point is, I'm going to just say what I think partly might be happening, because Hygeia, the goddess of like the medicine stuff, is involved. Is there going to maybe be, especially as visible Jupiter shows his face, because he's invisible in the sky now. And just, and when Jupiter's invisible, it's not always a good thing. There is a promise of expansion, growth, and wealth, and goodness and luck from this reset in your chart, my chart, everybody's chart, in some part of the sky. You won't really see that become visible until the 26th of March in your life, when the planet becomes visible. So we've got the God of justice and fairness and goodness and expansion, growth, and prosperity and luck invisible. All right, he's been invisible from February 13th. It will be invisible to about March 26th. Yeah, that means he's off duty. So you probably won't see the sort of justice being meted out or declared, or truth, another cute Jupiter word, being revealed until after March the 26th. But I think some of it is going to have to do with the back of the end of the vaccine stories. Okay, just a thought, just one of the possibilities. There are so many others already. Of course, we got a war in Ukraine, and Jupiter is justice, and quite possibly this will be around March 26th, some clarity and some resolution about the situation in the Ukraine. Go check out my Putin video, Putin US Pluto return video. It's got like 3,600 likes or something, or follow or views or whatever, because it is a little bit unnerving to see how destined that war is taking place is. And my video I did after that about my concerns about a nuclear exchange. Okay, but if you're not into the politics, don't worry. We are going to get to you and how this will inform your sky in the time frame most likely visible March 26 onward. Maybe I'd say March 26 to April 26. You should begin to see evidence of what I'm going to tell you for your rising sign, your sun, and your moon sign. So let's get started. And I think I'm going to probably start with the old Aries first. Why not? Okay, let's start with Aries, sun, moon, but most importantly, rising sign. You're having the reset button of Jupiter in the heart of the sun, co-present with Neptune in your 12th house. And this is your inner life. And it often has to do with the ways you sabotage yourself and the way you may undo your own life. And a lot of times it looks like addictions or self-defeating substance abuses as well. Now, it's also your hidden enemies, and it can be revenue created from barter and trade from foreign shores. So for any of you Aries like me who have a PayPal or Stripe account and get money from around the world through the work you do, this is an auspicious reset button right here. It really is. And if you've been trying to ditch a bad habit, like I've been sort of doing the wine lovers middle way thing, right, and really, really break through onto the other side, this Cazimi of Jupiter and the sun can really reset that button. And you'll see evidence of that. Both of those things, the revenue stream and the reset button on the health stuff and the self-undoing, by the 26th of March, as rising Jupiter becomes, visible to our eyes in the morning sky. And he's an old Jupiter. He's a tired Jupiter. He's being reborn. He's getting ready for a fresh start. So there's parts of your life over the last year since his last reset that are kind of winding down as well. With Hygeia in your 8th house, the goddess of healing, the goddess of wellness, the goddess of wholeness, the goddess of health, and Volcanus in your 5th house, the goddess of explosive and sudden things happening. Also, Volcanus is also about crafting something, but lots of interesting trine flow, water energy, moving Aries from your muse-driven, inspired, independent business entrepreneurship, romance house, and your 8th house of money. What kind of money? Bank loans, tax rebates, spousal money, that kind of thing. With Volcanus in the 5th house, which can be an eruption and something exciting and unexpected, in a money luck house, including lottery tickets and gaming, and the 8th house kind of being those chunks of money that come to you from other places like the government, which lottery monies are the government's money. For some of you, Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign, it certainly wouldn't hurt to play a couple of easy play lottery tickets. Don't break your bank on this. This is not financial advice, but sometime in probably when Jupiter becomes visible after March 26th, but who knows, you can start now if you want as well. Anything else I want to say? Sometimes, this is a reset in the 12th house of hospitals, and with Hygeia being involved from the 8th house, somebody not likely you, may have to go into some kind of care setting, and you might be involved in that as well. But flowing trine energy from Hygeia suggests things will all be well. Taurus, sun, moon, rising sign, you have this energy happening of the reset of Jupiter in your 11th house of good spirit, and there's no more auspicious house to have Jupiter die in the heart of the sun, in the lap of the king, and come back to life on the other side, because it's like your fairy godmother house. And now Jupiter's playing that role. And energetically, Jupiter is here until May 11th. So you've got a lot of Jupiter love, and he's back at the end of the year as well. But this reset is kind of like over the next year kind of vibe, really. You're going to find yourself having a lot of fortune and a lot of luck in regards to things like your friends giving you help, benefits from your friends, allies who want to support you, people giving you a leg up, growing and expanding into larger community, greater communities, new communities, fresh communities of belonging. And if you want to make a great deal of financial gain from your career path, this can really start to trend that story, expanding higher and higher. Look for evidence of this, of course, after the 26th of March, when Jupiter becomes once again visible. Hygeia sending a lot of love from the house of your spouse or your business partner or your audience and marketplace, your 7th house. Hygeia wants to help heal something and bring wholeness to you through that place. And, there's a lot of money and luck too that can come into that 11th house, where you feel like windfalls are happening, pennies from heaven are befalling you. But look for that through either your partner, your business partner, or through your outreach to your marketplace and audience. And lastly, with Volcanus in your 3rd house of siblings, I wonder if some of you may find yourself having a great deal of benefit coming through or from a sibling as one of the narratives over the course of the year, but even more so just after the 26th of March, as there's more visibility for the planet Jupiter. Okay. Moving forward to the Gemini, sun, moon, rising, Jupiter resets his life and starts all over again in your career house. This is a really new beginning, and you only get this kind of reset once every 12 years. So it's quite lovely. Neptune's there helping you have visions and dreams and goals and aspirations that are very much in alignment with your soul or your deeper spiritual beliefs, maybe, or the high visions of what you want in your career. And this reset, you'll see evidence of where things begin to expand or grow bigger, or luck befalls you in the career zone and reputation zone starting after the 26th of March as the planet Jupiter becomes visible once again. Hygeia is supporting this reset by trining in a very precise trine, 14 degrees as well, from your natal 6th house of work and work routines and health routines. Mostly this looks like, for a lot of Geminis, a really good year ahead as you have reset some kind of success and expansion in your career place. I like that the Volcanus energy is happening in your 2nd house of earnings. Can be explosive earnings growth, explosive promotions, explosive dramatic increase in your earnings, wages, income, etc. So good for you guys. It's very much a money career amplification story over the next year. And as I said, wait till Jupiter gets visible for you to find the evidence of that at the end of March. Cancer, sun, moon, rising sign. You guys are having the energy of Jupiter and the sun resetting a new story in your 9th house of God. Back in the day, that's what they called it, the house of God. You can call it what you want, the house of the divine, the house of the creator, the house of source, the house of spiritual philosophy, the house of religion, the house of higher education, and the house of your meaning of your life as you perceive it, like your hopes, dreams, and wishes, for not really hopes, dreams, and wishes, more like your sense of meaningful purpose. Okay. So for you Cancers and foreign lands and foreign shores, you could be resetting your life in a foreign land. You be taking in a very important trip just after March the 26th, at a few weeks, to a foreign shore that's going to have an incredible, lucky, expansive, positive influence on you. Or if you're in higher education settings, you might get a teaching job, an extension, a promotion, or if you're a student, a new teacher comes in and that teacher blesses you. That's like you are the golden child, the pet student, or something like that. So there's beautiful expansion in the 9th house of God, and Jupiter up there is happy. And if you have a court case where you're trying to win something and it's been slogging along, or you need to go to court and have to be sort of go do the judge thing, Jupiter with the reset with the sun and a flowing trine from Hygeia brings you success in the court environment, in the legal environment. Hygeia, though, in your 5th house can also expand your story by bringing you some sort of a romance that's very healing from somebody from a foreign land, or something healing with one of your children connected to the meaning of your life, because that 5th house is children, and it is romance, and it is also sometimes money, luck. So not a bad time for you guys as well to play a lottery ticket or two, maybe when Jupiter is visible, of course, and he can bring his luck home into the visible world for you after the 26th of March. Volcanus, with his explosive energy in the 1st house of you, big changes of identity, big changes of a sense of self, explosive, positive, flowing harmony, trine energy, vitalizing you from the 5th house. I mean, you could have a Jupiterian romance, a big love romance, because you're in a foreign land, you travel to a foreign land, someone in your educational setting. It totally expands and shifts the way you see yourself in a volcanic way. Okay. Like suddenly you realize you are lovable, you are amazing, you are beautiful, stuff like that. Now, oh, and I say one more thing for you guys. It's like sexual healing, Hygeia in the house of sexuality and an explosive energy in your body, your identity. So yeah, you guys, some of you could be having like, that kind of thing happen. All right, Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. You get the energy of Jupiter moving into a new beginning in the heart of the sun in your 8th house of money that doesn't belong to you, because it may belong to the bank, it may belong to your spouse, it may belong to an inheritance story, but you get your hands on it. It's money that you can opt to participate in by virtue of getting access to other people's money. And now Jupiter, and it can be investment monies, because, when you invest in a company and the stock takes off, it's their money and you're a part of it. You're a shareholder, right? Sharing the money. So some kind of really beautiful opportunity to expand your finances in that part of the sky, or your spouse could, or business partner as well, could be expanding there. And with this Hygeia sending a lot of trine energy from the fourth house, for some of you, it might be some luck to do with real estate. You may be opening up portals of expansion by buying or selling real estate, and or moving into a place with a better lease rate or something like that. And Hygeia is bringing healing in your domestic and private life, and amplifying the goodness of your eighth house. Now, if you're a magician, occultist, or practice magic or do tarot cards and stuff, eighth house mysteries, paranormal and occult are there. So you could be expanding your occult range from your home life and doing occult techniques that are healing. And lastly, Volcanus in your 12th house. Pay attention to your dreams, your meditations, your inner life. Volcanic explosions of aha could be coming to you that are very profound, maybe even spiritually amazing, with Neptune and Jupiter, Sun in a whole sign, energetic flow to your 12th house. 4, 12, and 8th houses are spiritual liberation or enlightenment houses, called moksha houses in Vedic astrology. So for some of you Leos, if looking for spiritual awakening is your cup of tea, I think you could get one big one up and running after March the 26th, add about a month or two. All right, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising sign. So, okay, Virgo folk, you are having this energy happen in this reset of Jupiter, Sun, once every 12-year event in your marriage house. Now, look, if you are single, this could bring in an amazing love relationship, like a real blossoming of some very true love, big love, spiritual love, soulmate love, high love, because Neptune is there as well. And if you are with somebody, and so for all you singletons, look for evidence of this after March the 26th, and maybe in the, say, 6 weeks that follow, certainly by May 11th. And then for you married or partnered or dating types who already have someone on the go, this is a new level of love between you. This can be an engagement or moving in together or setting a wedding date or a proposal for marriage, all of that stuff. So up-leveling that love story is huge for you. If you have a business partner story in your life, or you want one that can be similar things, but for a business instead of love partner. And if you propel stuff into the audience marketplace, client storylines, like if you have if you put stuff into the world from your career that other people need to see, the marketplace kind of thing, you could have some really great success in that area of the sky visible to you by the after the third week or March 26th onward. Hygeia is sending healing rays to this new reset from the third house of siblings, short trips and travel, skills-based learning and education, stuff like that, online dating sites, online platforms, third house things, local neighborhood, sometimes aunts, uncles, and cousins. So you're getting a lot of love from that zone. You'll see visible evidence of this after the 26th of March. Finally, Volcanus is doing a big volcanic explosive energies of change and excitement in your 11th house of good spirit. Now, this can bring whole new friendship circles to you, or sudden support from a friend that really, really picks up a new direction for you and helps you in some way. It is the house of your deepest aspirations and wishes for your life. Sometimes, an explosive force, but flowing with water trine energy in the sky could be a deep, new, exciting, exhilarating aha or insight coming to you, almost like a download, maybe through a dream. Neptune's slightly involved here, about what your real, true, and heartfelt vision is for your own life. Alrighty, let's keep going. So Libra, sun, moon, rising sign people. So Libras, you guys are experiencing this flowing, loving story of, let me back that up. Sorry. You're experiencing, first of all, the reset of Jupiter and the sun with Neptune right there in your 6th house of health protocols and work routines. And if you're feeling tired, if you've been struggling with work, if work has been difficult in any way, this is not going to be the case. This is a change of the work environment, the workplace environment, the routines of your work, your colleagues, coworkers settings, or if you're the boss, your employees, but it's all getting ready to reset. And it'll show evidence of that over the next year, but most acutely, of course, after the 26th of March, when Jupiter is visible from underneath the beams of the sun to deliver his new reset work promise to you and health promise as well. Finding solutions or learning new things to improve your health could be very Jupiter sun reset. Like, oh, if they'd only told me that I'm allergic to gluten or I'm a celiac or something. And that kind of thing can happen with this reset. And you can really wipe out a lot of health problems with just one simple new understanding or truth about what's going on for your sickness house. Jupiter could reveal the truth there. Now, Hygeia is in your second house of what you put in your mouth, food and cigarettes and wine, things that you ingest by virtue of putting it into your mouth. And so therefore, this for a lot of you looks like healing through dietary change, or through looking at what it is you're ingesting through your mouth, or puffing on or sipping. So big changes there, but flowing in harmonious energies to support those changes in a very easy and lucky way. Lastly, your earnings is your second house. With Hygeia, she could be healing something around the earnings story, especially if earnings for you has become hard, or you're not liking the way you're earning money, or you want to change that. This looks like a reset from Jupiter's angle, lucky reset to do with work and money storylines. Lastly, Volcanus is sending up plumes of change, of yay, explosive new change in your career house and tying into this reset. So change of money, change of career, and change of work and work routines or workplace. Very familiar theme as one of our other signs. We just rotated the cast of characters in this grand sky trine. So mostly you guys are going to see it improve your work and money storyline, but there's explosive energy in the 10th house. So I'm just going to warn you, sometime after March the 26th, if you get fired from a job, it's okay. Or if your boss gets fired, it's okay, because Jupiter brings positive change. Even if it's disruptive energy, it's ultimately going to be felt by you in the long arc of your story as something good happened. Okay. All righty. I'm moving forward to Scorpio, sun, moon, rising sign. Guess what? This is going to be a new beginning, a reset in your fertility and children and pregnancy and childbirth house, your 5th, and in your romance house, and in your inspired creativity house, especially if you're artistic. So here we have a year ahead, but it's going to really start to show up visibly after March the 26th, when Jupiter comes out of the beams of the sun, of great intensity around your creative energy, your artistry, hearing the muse. This is definitely a pregnancy. Jupiter going through your 5th house until May 11th and back again in November, December is totally a pregnancy thing. So be cautious if you or your partner doesn't feel like having a baby right now. But also romance. If you're single, this is big love romance blossoming. This is like super sweet stuff. All right. So you could find that over the course of March 26th, at a few weeks, you may find the big love of your life stepping right up into your storyline. And if you're with somebody, it can enhance the love you already have, can bring you closer together in a kind of dreaming, romantic and playful way. A lot of joy in your relationship, more fun, resetting the relationship sexually for more sexual fun as well. Hygeia in your house of your body and your identity, Scorpio, is healing you. You could have physical healing through the romance part of the sky, right? Or if you get pregnant, it could be a physical healing because you couldn't do that before and suddenly your body's pregnant. But healing regards the 5th house stuff is also healing your sense of self, not just your physical body. So it's a very flowing and lovely energy between your 1st and 5th. And then that volcanic energy of Volcanus is happening in your 9th house. And your 9th house is your house of your meaning of your life, like the dharmic stream that you're supposed to be on, but your faith and what you believe, your spiritual philosophy, higher education, foreign lands, and travel. Now, I can make an easy story here for a lot of Scorpios that at the very least, this is going to be a trip sometime after March the 26th, at about 4 or 5 weeks, in which it's dreamy, romantic. It sets a new standard for your love life, or you meet someone on that trip if you're single, and it may involve a foreign country, a trip to a foreign land. With the Volcanus energy there, it may be more than you expect. That trip may be like volcanic, is as in like you discover you're pregnant on the trip, or you meet the partner of your life, or once you go to that place, you realize you're in love with it and want to go back and maybe move to that foreign land. It's very flowing, but it's also got volcanic intensity. But it's such a sweet sky for you, Scorpios. Enjoy, enjoy, enjoy. All right, Sagittarius, sun, moon, rising sign. You guys are having this gorgeous reset of the Jupiter in the sun energy, heart of the sun, in your 4th house of home and real estate and where you live. And like, honestly, for a lot of you guys, if you've been having domestic unhappiness or your private domestic quiet life is sucking over the last year, which it could have given what else has gone on in your sky, Sagittarius, this is going to open up the portal to your home as a place of joy, expansion, and growth. Now, it can be literal. Like you buy a bigger house, you move to a bigger place, you rent a larger apartment, all of that, or you move to a more joyful place. And if you want and you need and you can sell a property, this is an ideal time, but wait until Jupiter is visible after March the 26th. Hygeia is in your 12th house. This is your inner life. This is your soulful downtime, your contemplation, your navel gazing and your dreams at night. You know, Hygeia is trying to heal you of your sabotaging patterns and addictions. Some of you Sages know you are prone, being a Sag. Honestly, you guys are big adventurers and you gusto for life and all that fire. And sometimes the same thing means you just take too much on of like more wine, more weed, more this, more that, more cigarettes. Anyway, so I think you're going to find this flowing Hygeia is like some changes in your home that are positive, relieve you from your own self-undoing and addictions, or by removing those addictions, you're now happier in your home. Okay. Things like that. Volcanus is exploding some yummy energy in your 8th house, getting a mortgage of a century, getting a home equity loan, getting an inheritance that allows you to buy a new home or expand your home, money that belongs to others. Okay. It's a part of that energy field of legacy wealth, and Jupiter in the 4th can mean that, especially if it's from a maternal person in your family, the death of a grandmother, a great aunt, a mother, she's elderly, but you may be taking possession of some monies that come through bequeathments as well. Now, if anything that's going to happen, it will be happening suddenly, Volcanus, and it will happen likely after the 26th of March. Okay. Capricorn, sun, moon, and rising sign. The 3rd house, that very busy cadent 3rd house in your sky, is where this reset is. And this is a reset of something to do with your local neighborhood, your siblings, and sometimes cousins and uncles and aunts as well. You may be resetting something to do with your online platforms like websites and stuff like that, or social media platforms. And if you want to learn something, especially with Jupiter here, some of you will be resetting your life by going to study something that you can practically use, like getting a real estate license or learning how to, you know, build a cabin or whatever. Like, it's practical stuff. In fact, I know a Capricorn woman friend of mine who's going to be learning how to design and build cabins. Really, you can't make this up. So 3rd base, skills-based learning, and also trips and travel. So that, you know, short trips and travel, not far off lands. So all of that's getting a reset button. And it means for a lot of Capricorns, you're going to move into a year ahead, visible after the 26th of March, where you're doing a lot more travel, where you're also having maybe the possibility of learning stuff that you are really interested in, and having a better and more joyful and connected relationship with a sibling or aunts, uncles, and cousins and extended family. Hygeia in your 11th house of allies and benefactors and great gains from your career is healing that part of your sky. And for some of you, it looks like maybe a change of neighborhood and a change of friendship circles as well, in a flowing, harmonious way that you will see unfold over the year ahead, because this reset is good for about a year and a bit. Volcanus is exploding some energy of change and something new from your 7th house of marriage partners and business partners. Okay, so some of you Capricorns, if you're with somebody, this can be a big disruption in that relationship, bringing flowing, harmonious goodness to you. But, you know, do you want it, or are you reluctant, or is it a relief? I don't know. To me, it looks like it's always positive because Jupiter is involved, right? So Jupiter does bring blessed endings, but some of you, it might be a new beginning. Possibly for a single Capricorn, this could be an explosive new other coming into your life dramatically in the house of long-term committed love. And so with Hygeia in the 11th, it could come through a friend, introduction through a friend, or through a group that you join or suddenly belong to. And with Hygeia in the 11th house, these would be healing groups, like a group of healers or a group of chiropractors or a group of massage therapists, or a group to do with the concept of healing, including psychological healing. So some of you Caps could go off to a group of, you know, I don't know, Jungian psychology seminars or something and meet the love of your life because you're on a trip to do that, which also makes me think of my girlfriend, who's also the same one who's going to build houses. I think she's, oh my gosh, my brain is offline. She's Cap and Sag anyway. Okay, so moving forward, I mean, like a rising sign and sun, moving forward. Aquarius, sun, moon, and rising sign. That's me. All right, guys, I'm so freaking happy about this one. I can't even tell you how happy I am to have this Jupiter expanding new beginning reset in the money house. We get it once every 12 years. I'm happy to take possession of it again. Okay. Thank you, Jupiter, Sun, reset. So I probably should have told you guys when this happened last. That would have been a good piece of this narrative. Sorry about that. But anyways, roughly 12 years ago when Jupiter was back in Pisces, so back in 2010, and I remember I got a big chunk of money back then. Okay. So that came through a property sale. So some things like this will make sense if you look back in hindsight. So what is going on for Aquarians that will have a new beginning and a fresh start, opening up a big reset in earnings and money? All right. And with Neptune here moving in alignment with things that are Neptunian, like honestly, Neptune rules film, photography, and storytelling, but also the idea of one's spiritual aspirations and more truer dreams. And so all of that is to say, no matter which way you slice that, it's a positive thing for us Aquarians resetting our moolah money house, right? I'm taking it. Hygeia is sending that trine energy from the 10th house of career and healing something in our career path. And, I'm going to I can only give myself as an example, believe it or not, the only Aquarius I actually know right now. So for me, it's like, I love my work, and I looked at my Zoom database, which for some reason hasn't deleted any of the recordings, although I tell my clients there will be deleted. And I think there's like 2,800 recordings. That's 2,800 clients that I have seen since March of 2019. Now you could probably take off maybe 100 of those or something for YouTube videos that I record that are still sitting there, or 200, but that's a whole lot of Zoom calls, folks, right? You see what I'm saying? And I think the Hygeia healing my career house for me is going to be finding ways to leverage my career in ways that are less client intense, because as much as I love my clients and I jump for joy every time I finish with a client, because I enjoy my clients, all amazing people. And my business runs itself. It's all referral networks, is that I find that I need a more creative time. So healing for you Aquarians of some kind of a career part of your life that is no longer feeling exactly as it should be. And that explosive, volcanic, juicy energy coming out of that 6th house, boom, from Volcanus, the work and work routines. Now it's the health and health routines, but with the 2nd house and 10th house energies, it's very much more likely about your career. Although certainly I could make a case with Jupiter, Sun, Neptune in the house of things you put in your mouth, and explosive new, directional energy flowing in the house of sickness. Some of you will also decide that you have found a new food style that is your food style. So I've been paleo before, and I'm kind of slid off of it, and I might go back to being paleo for example, right? So some of you guys will see that happening too. And but that volcanic energy in the 6th house, very exciting, very explosive change energy coming through, a flowing harmony. Look for in the work, the career, and the money story. Look for evidence of this after, of course, the 26th of March, as Jupiter becomes once again visible in the sky. Lastly, and never leastly, a Pisces time. Pisces, sun, moon, rising sign. It's all about you, the house of you, your body, your identity is getting a major reset. I mean, go back to 12 years ago, roughly 2010 into 2011. What were you doing to reset your identity? How are you going to do this again? What big changes are coming in which you are now going to be more leaderful, more magnanimous, more charismatic and magnetic to the world? And you feel like that from the inside out. You are not even going to know yourself at the end of the story, because this is a reset that goes throughout the next year. You're going to come out on the other side of it feeling like the king or queen of Mount Olympus. And also with Neptune co-present in your 1st house, it's going to bring you very much in touch with the deeper parts of your spiritual identity and your spiritual beliefs and your spiritual life, especially with Hygeia healing energy in the house of God trining this. Some of you may find that you may have lost your faith in the divine, faith in the creator, or understanding of how the world works, and you're healing that. Look for evidence of new faith and healing coming to you as the 26th of March onward begins to show the Jupiter story as he's visible in the sky again for a year. It's a year-long new reset. Volcanus is exploding in your 5th house. If you want to write books, paint, draw, do anything, music, creativity, and Volcanus is exploding some new energy there. Your creativity could just go through the roof. absolutely taking off. Also, if you're single and you want romance and part of your new joy structure would involve romance, this could definitely bring in a very meaningful, spiritually aligned new spiritual partner and love partner all bundled into one. If you're with someone, this can change your relationship to make it much more, well, let's put it way, explosive energy in the house of sexual connection to your partner and romance connection, but flowing to your identity and flowing to high G in the ninth house. Now, certainly you could take a trip to a foreign land or foreign shore that also robustly enhances your creativity, your muse, and your romance. Lastly, your children are in the fifth house. So explosive change regarding or about one of your children, but it's positive because Jupiter's trining it. And this also allows you maybe to travel to a foreign land or to feel better about yourself and be more whole and healed. For some of you Pisces, maybe it just means getting closer to your children for some reason, whether it's emotionally or in physical proximity. All right. Anything else I'd say? If you want a spiritual teacher, I mean, Jupiter, Neptune could be kind of guru vibe. And because there's a trine to the ninth house, you might find a coach, a guide, a mentor, a life coach, a spiritual guide or mentor coming into your life that's going to provide a lot of healing at the soul level for you. As a part of one of the features of 2022 to 23 Jupiter reset. So, the 12 months that follow the March 26th reset of Jupiter. All right, guys, he will be invisible again, of course, near the end of that. So you've got a good year-long run on you becoming bigger, grander, and more amazeballs because Jupiter is resetting your identity. All right. All right. Thanks for listening, guys, and have a wonderful day. Recording this on March the 3rd. Ciao, ciao. And my Patreon community gets it first. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Check my description box below. I always forget to say this, where you can sign up for all of my courses. And I've got a great Soul of Money course coming. So check that out as well. And I need to sign off.